gallbladder stones,
Wow,
gallstones.
fantastic that you did that. That's so great.
All of that seems to have been reversed. So my
Wow.
question today is, I drink 7 cups of green salad, you know, the mixed herb salad, with a handful of parsley, a half cucumber, a quarter of a bell pepper, just all sorts of green stuff. I put in a scoop of your electrolyte powder, a little extra lemon juice, and about a half teaspoon of salt. But I'm still having leg cramps right in my calves, especially first thing in the morning. And I know it has to do something with the balance of the sodium, the salt. I mean, I eat another half teaspoon of salt during the day. I'm moderately active, but I'm finding the same thing with a lot of supplements. It's trying to find the balance, you know, in taking enough, you know, when I have chipped nails to get my nails stronger, but not taking so much to where it throws something else out of balance. Is there an easy way to find balance in a supplement?
Okay, so there's one, when you get in that situation where you're just, you know, you just have to tweak things, you're in the tweaking phase, to evaluate that you need more information, more data to pull the string to see what that is. There is a test that I would recommend. You may be able to find it if you do a search online, but I had mine done. But it's called an intracellular mineral test. And it's done by a really credible lab. And so you take a little, I guess it's a little tool to scrape a little lining of the underneath your tongue, a little, some skin cells, right? Just a little bit. And you send it off, and they analyze the intracellular electrolytes. It's really cool. And it'll tell you, like, if you're deficient, because you really can't go by what's going on in your blood, because the majority of a lot of these minerals are inside the cell. And so to figure out what you need more of, I think I would do an intracellular test. If you can't find it, call our office, and I'll try to use the, or Dr. Berg at drberg.com, and I'll try to maybe post it. I'll post it on this, this video right here down below once I get home. But it's an intracellular test, and that's what I would do if I were you, because it's also good for if you have arrhythmia problems with the heart and you don't know what mineral you need. It could be magnesium, potassium, and it tells you the different balances. So that's what I would do. Good question. Thanks, Ruth. I want to mention one thing. There's this guy that I know who is a patient. He recently contacted me, and of course he was not on the program. He was completely off the program. I mean, in a major way. He's eating the standard stuff that you shouldn't be eating, not sleeping. He had something called stenosis. That's like where your spinal cord is just too small. It's actually your spinal cord is putting pressure on the canal. So the canal is too small for the cord, so there's just not enough space, so he has inflammation in his lower back. Doesn't want to do the surgery. So he contacts me, he says, what am I going to do? I said, well, why don't you try going back to what I told you about 4 years ago, repetitively. And he says, oh, the keto thing. Yeah, I said, yeah, intermittent fasting. I said, bring your carbs down to way down there to 10 grams a day, okay? Do one meal and take 50,000 IUs of vitamin D3, okay? Just do it. Don't ask me any questions, just do it. So he texts me in the morning, he says, oh my gosh, I slept 9 hours, I'm pain-free. I said, didn't I tell you this a long time ago? He goes, yeah, I know, this is amazing. I said, now write this on the board, exactly what you do, not on your board, on your refrigerator, post it and read it every day for the next month. I said, you're probably also going to notice that your cognitive function is going to be better, because I already noticed my brain's working better. So for those people that are not on keto and intermittent fasting, and you have inflammation or stenosis or brain fog, you might want to try it just to prove it to yourself. I need to go to Terry. He's been waiting patiently. Terry, how you doing? You're from Minnesota.
Yes, and thank you, and say hi to Karen.
Absolutely.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, I talked to you about a month ago, about H. pylori. And here's the thing is I'm getting the side effect of hydroperoxide. I believe that's what it is. I haven't been tested for it, but it's in my feet, my hands, and I can feel it shifting around on me. And matter of fact, it's so bad my feet, I can barely walk. I mean, I'm lucky if I can walk 2,000 steps, and then I'm done for the day. So I could, is anything you can suggest? I am taking selenium. Supposedly that's supposed to decrease the hydroperoxide, but and I've been taking it for over a month, and I haven't seen or felt any difference.
So
you got any suggestions?
Yeah, so what's happening is the immune system, as part of their defense, releases a lot of hydrogen peroxide, and they use this also for, your immune system uses it to make even bleach too, so who knows what's going on. You just have, your immune system is trying to fight something off. The best thing to do for that is to take more sea salt. That is the necessary thing to actually kind of get your cells to actually fight stronger. But then to counter all this oxidative stress that you have, I wouldn't just take selenium. I would take a lot of antioxidants. Like I would be doing large salads, cruciferous vegetables. I would probably be doing glutathione. You can do some of the superfoods like curcumin, things like that, turmeric. That's what I would do. Maybe some garlic, maybe some wheatgrass juice powder. That way you have the antioxidants to counter some of these the oxidative processes that are spilling off in there. I would also just make sure you're standardly doing keto. I'm sure you are, but that's what I would do if I were you. Terry, thanks for your call. All right, Karen, guess what? We have a lot of quizzes today.
Fantastic.
But I want to know, where are people contacting us from?
So far, and I'm not done yet, but we have Australia, South Africa, California, Sweden, New York, Indonesia, Boston, the UK, Ghana, Canada, the Philippines, Wisconsin.
Hey, that's great.
Malaysia, and more.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Do you have a question?
No, nobody has a
Okay,
question.
so let
no,
me
of course we have questions. Okay, so someone says they can't drink apple cider vinegar because it tastes too bad, and you say do what?
You can actually, well, you have to dilute it first of all. And number two, you can get it in a pill form.
Right.
Yeah.
drberg.com, apple cider vinegar. It's the digest, right?
Digest formula. That's right.
That's what I have to do. Okay, good. So if you had broken bones, can you do keto? Will it help, or what will help heal broken bones?
Well, if you have an injury or you had surgery, you definitely need to do keto because the ketones themselves are very, very healing. They have antioxidant properties. They're very low stress in the body. They help the immune system. But I think even slightly more important than keto, I would do it with that, is intermittent fasting. When you fast, you have all these genes that get expressed or turned on that start to do this healing, and especially with mending bones and supporting the immune system. So fasting has a healing effect. But it's kind of weird because you would think if I stop eating, I would need to nourish my body. It's just the opposite. Fasting is the best thing to heal the body. Not long term though. I'm not talking like doing it for a year without eating, but I'm talking about a short-term fast.
Well, you know, it reminds me of that old saying that gets switched around depending on who you talk to. You know, starve a cold, feed a fever.
That's right, Karen. That's right. That's exactly
And what
right.
that means, we'll never know. But it reminded me of it, so I thought I would say it.
We're going to have some people that disagree because there was an article that said that you know, if you have a virus, you need to you need
Eat
to have
all
more
the time.
carbs. You need more
Oh.
carbs, which is false information.
Was it funded by the food
false
industry?
information. I won't tell you who it's funded
Okay.
by. I'll get in trouble.
We won't. Okay, I'm just going to mention this because someone's continually putting in our opinion about vaccines. I'm going to tell you to do what I did. I read and I studied. And I looked at the pros and I looked at the cons, and then I made a decision. And that's what you guys have to do.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's one topic
we will never talk about.
They'll basically take the video down, unfortunately. I would love to tell you my opinion.
But you should educate yourself anyway, instead of just listening to our opinion. And there are plenty of books, and I had one, The Pros and the Cons of Vaccination, and in addition to other books I read, and we made a decision. There you go.
It's time for a quiz.
Okay,
so
good.
the first quiz, guys, what is one of the best solutions, or let's just put it this way, what causes keto rash? Okay, what causes keto rash?
Okay.
You start keto, do intermittent fasting, and all of a sudden you get this rash. What
Don't let me down.
What is the cause? Okay, so
Okay.
while they're going after that, I'm going to talk to Chris. He's in Clearwater, Florida. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hey, Dr. Berg. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Hey, first of all, I want to say thank you for all that you do, and you have transformed my body into not quite there yet, but I hope in a couple of years where I want to be at. I'm 26, and I practice the intermittent fasting and the keto. And let me just say right off the bat, your keto aminos are just like otherworldly. They're next level product.
Awesome.
I just did I'm still in the middle of a 72-hour fast at the moment. And I just did yesterday I did a 48-hour fasted high-intensity workout. And I took about 6 or 7 of your keto aminos. And man, let me tell you, it was like I was in a fed state almost as far as muscle endurance. And it's amazing. All your products are great. So I just want to thank you for everything that you've done for me at this point.
Awesome. That's great, Chris.
So
go ahead.
Oh, I had one question about one of your products, and my main question, I've been really involved with trying to figure out the natural flavor type ingredient that you see on a lot of these products.
Yeah.
I've been told that I guess these companies can like almost manipulate this whatever it is that they're using, this flavor gene, as many times as they want, and it's not, they don't have to label it. That falls under the natural flavor label.
Right.
So I just wanted to get your opinion on the exact process for natural flavors, quote unquote.
You know,
and,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, you know, I didn't know anything about natural flavors until I started dealing with companies that when you actually come up with a product, you need flavoring, right, for certain things. So I was searching around and pulling strings, and I found a company that we use that doesn't use the MSG and the GMO type thing. So it's very, very high end. It's a little bit more expensive than the other companies, but it's a higher quality. So when you buy a product, if you're concerned, you can always ask whoever sells the products, like, send us your specs on the natural flavoring to make sure it's non-GMO, make sure it's high quality, because you're right, there's a lot of corruption in that area. Even when you deal with like these keto-friendly foods, which I'm going to do a video today on, there are certain ingredients that are not keto-friendly, and they're definitely not healthy. So I will be talking more about that. But hey, thanks, Chris, for your call. Appreciate it. All right, Karen, what do we have?
Okay, so we have 2 answers. Most people on YouTube said bile, and most people on Facebook said vitamin B.
Is that right? Well, it's interesting because the people on YouTube probably just saw my video I released this morning on this one topic, which is basically keto rash is usually a bile deficiency.
Interesting.
And that can happen from having your gallbladder removed. That can happen from having a fatty liver. That can happen from having any liver damage. It could happen from not consuming enough saturated fats, because if you go on a real low-fat diet, a lot of times the gallbladder will kind of shrivel up and you won't have enough bile. A bile deficiency will lead to gallstones. Interesting. You would think fat causes gallstones. No. It's a lack of bile. But bile helps you absorb certain things like vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and so it really prevents that rash. But I go more into it. If you want to know more about it, just watch my video. But it's, yes, B2 deficiency as well, but think about vitamin B2. Another name for that would be vitamin G. Remember, standard process is vitamin G is for the liver. Liver Your liver makes bile. See the connection, Karen? So
Picking up what you're throwing down.
I find that if you take some purified bile salts, that is the best thing for the keto rash. So that answers that question. I have quite a few other ones. They're going to get more difficult as we go.
By the way, is B2 in nutritional yeast?
Yeah, vitamin B2 is in nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast pretty much has everything. Now, normally it doesn't have B12. However, we put a natural B12 in that product, so it has all the Bs.
Well, here's my double use for it. So I eat that stuff like candy, and it keeps me from eating when I'm trying to intermittent fast. And you told me that I won't die from doing that, and I haven't died. It's been delicious, and it's sort of a nutty flavor. Many people may wash it down with water, but I crunch them.
Yeah.
And whenever I feel like having a donut, instead, I now have nutritional yeast, and I highly recommend it. And I've been eating it for a couple of years now, and it's just fixed my need to snack on something, and then I get a vitamin B2 boost, as you say, and maybe vitamin G, who knows?
Yeah, it's the B vitamins. It's hard to find natural versions of B vitamins, but the thing is, if you go through stress, if you've ever been through stress in your life, if you have been carbs, you're going to need more Bs. But a lot of people are deficient in Bs, and if you take Bs, Steve, you're going to have a sense of, especially B1, a sense of like a stress relief. Like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better now. I remember I use that in practice all the time. People come in stressed out, I go, here, just take this and just wait 3 minutes, and I would give them some nutritional yeast, and they'd be like, oh my gosh, I feel so good. Especially if there's a husband and wife that are fighting in the waiting room, I'll just give them some Bs, put them in separate rooms, and they walk out holding hands. So
My wife's mean in our marriage. That's the issue there, but I digress.
just take some more Bs, Steve.
Okay, so here's a question. Can
Yeah.
you live without sugar? Can you live? Get the body to live.
Some people can't. But yes, you need to live without sugar. You'll live longer without sugar. Any sugar that you need, which is only a tiny bit, is your body can make it. I mean, the term for that is called gluconeogenesis, making the new sugar, and you can make that out of ketones, fat, protein. So no, you don't need glucose.
Okay, good. Is it better to fast in the morning, in the AM, or in the PM? Morning or evening, afternoon?
It doesn't matter, but it's a natural progression to, since you're sleeping all night, you're probably not going to be eating all night, just to ride the wave and then continue to fast in the morning and go as long as you can. It just works out better. But there's those people who just cannot not eat late at night. They need a snack. And those guys, what I would do is I would try to fast as long as you can, and maybe have your first meal at 8 o'clock at night, or just eat later, and then you're good. Then you can snack all you want at night.
Because what happens when you eat at night, at least from my experience, if I end up eating at night, as soon as I wake up, I'm really hungry.
That's right.
And then
so
I have a harder time pushing it back.
if you need a breakfast in the morning, or if you're hungry in the morning, just take a look at what you ate yesterday, usually in the evening, and that'll give this clue of, you probably ate too much carb, or you ate too
or just ate anything.
So much that can throw things off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
More?
I need to go to Lakewood, California.
As a no-name.
Tony. Hey, Tony.
Hey,
the
Doctor
wrong
and
place.
Karen, how are you?
Hi,
Great.
we're great.
Good. So I have been doing keto since, actually I realize it's over a year now.
Great.
And I was doing real well. A couple of things, let me set this up first. I don't have a gallbladder. And last June I had appendicitis, so I'm down 2 organs. Anyway, I started a year ago, March. I was at 265. By December, I was down to 197.
Wow.
Which I was really happy with. Well, about 12 of that was appendicitis, because I was in the hospital like 11 days and was on IV, and then horror of horrors, they gave me glucose. But anyway, I got down to 197, and then I started coming back up. I'm now at about 218, and I'm averaging around 218, and I can't seem to break that. I'm doing 1 meal a day. I eat usually around 1 p.m.
What I'll do in the morning is I'll have coffee, usually with some collagen powder, MCT powder. A company makes like a cocoa or like a chocolate, keto-friendly chocolate sauce that I'll put in that. And I'm not overeating. Like yesterday, I had like one sandwich, a couple of breakfast links, and keto-friendly bread that I made, and a small salad. But I'm still averaging around 218, so I don't know if I'm not eating enough.
Okay, question,
Maybe
Tony.
in the
Tony,
one meal or what?
Let me ask you a question. Do you have
Sure.
a gut? Do you have weight in your midsection?
Yes.
Okay. When you have that one meal a day, are you hungry right before it?
Generally not.
Okay.
No.
So this is what you do. Your system just probably needs to be reset a little bit. I would ride the wave, and this is what I tell other people. If you're already where you're at and you're doing high intensity interval training, you're doing everything, I would try this. Eat for like just see how it works. I would eat every other day, and I would take the nutrition. I would do all that stuff. But if you're not hungry, ride the wave, because you know why? Your body is actually tapping into the fat, and somehow it needs to go longer with the fasting. Plus, that fasting, eating every other day, which is kind of like similar to OMAD, but a little bit longer. But what will happen is that you'll find that it could be a problem with some issue with your pancreas that's causing some issues with the insulin, the cells, because if you have pancreatitis, that's where your beta cells are that produce insulin, so there's a little issue with that. So I would do that, and I think that would kind of heal the inside of the body a little bit faster, and see if you can really hit your goal that way. Okay?
Okay. Another quick question: if I'm doing that, am I messing myself up doing the coffee and collagen and that?
I would probably not do collagen. That's a protein. I would do MCT oil, but not the protein part. And you may even go lose a little bit more if you nix the MCT oil, just because your body will use that as ketones instead of your own fat. So maybe just cut those out for right now.
So no collagen, no MCT. Okay. I am using your wheatgrass and your veggie powder and your electrolyte and your kale shakes and your yeast tablets. So
maybe
should I cut those out?
No, you can do all those. Just don't do the kale powder. Do the kale powder only when you eat, but not as a snack, because it has some protein in there.
Okay. All right.
Awesome.
So one meal every other day, but I'm okay doing the coffee.
Yeah, totally fine.
Just don't add the collagen, the MCT. Got it.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
very
Tony.
good. I will try that. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. Love your products.
Sure.
Thank
thanks.
you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Have another quiz, Karen.
Okay. Good.
All right. So here's the question, guys. What is the best vitamin for knee pain?
I think I know this.
You may know, but let's just see what people say. And then,
can we have a banana a day?
Can you have a banana a day? You could if you want to knock yourself out of ketosis. That's just like
Sylvie.
Yeah, you can't have a banana.
It's too much sugar.
Yeah, you can do some blackberries and some berries, but don't start getting into the fruit. Yeah. All right. Do you want to ask another question?
These guys are smart. I mean, if my answer is the right answer.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you ask another question, because we want to get a lot of these guys.
So, what could you do for dark circles under the eye?
Makeup works. No, it's usually a problem of sleep, more sleep. It could be some liver congestion. There is sometimes a genetic factor as well, but normally it's going to be a sleep cycle issue. But I will say, if you're not on keto, that can create some swelling around the eyes and underneath the eyes, and but mainly it's going to be a lack of sleep. So, especially if you're like sleeping for a lot of hours but you don't feel refreshed, that means you're not getting deep sleep. And the best remedy for that is actually vitamin D. So, and I actually did a video on that.
Now, I always heard that when you have dark circles under the eyes, it's anemia or a lack of.
Oh, it could be. It could be anemia as well.
Okay.
Could be iron anemia. Could be anemia with B12.
So just sort of try different things.
Yeah.
See what handles it.
Yep.
Now we have a couple of questions that came in on the summit. What are the subjects that are going to be discussed and the speakers?
Well, there's quite awesome speakers. You can click a link on both social medias and get more of the detail on the speakers. But we have a whole we have quite a few new speakers this time on topics that I'm interested in. And it's going to be covering different aspects of keto, but with heavier amount of information on fasting and some really cool things in fasting. But I think the best thing to do is go to the website, just click the banner and read on who's going to be there and what they're going to talk about. And this is all going to be virtual, so you can watch us from the privacy of your own home. And I hope you guys
join us
when we do
Free
this,
parking.
because it's going to be, your flights are going to be really inexpensive.
Cheap
Actually,
flights.
they're free because you won't even need to use
Right.
them. All right, what are the answers, Karen?
Okay. Mostly vitamin D.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your answer? on that?
Vitamin D.
Okay, and the answer is K2. Vitamin K2 for the knee pain.
Wow. And no, I don't think anybody said that. There were some different ones like C and.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, vitamin D, guys. I was with you on that
There's
one.
something also that's called pseudo-gout, which is, gout is usually a high level of uric acid crystals in the big toe. There's a pseudo-gout, which is more of a calcium phosphorus deposits, usually in the knee, sometimes in the wrist, but mainly in the knee, because it's like similar to gout, but it's a different chemical. And that buildup of the calcium can be reduced by K2, because K2 mainly transports the excess calcium in the soft tissues back to the bone where it should be. But it does work with D3. And vitamin D3 gets rid of the inflammatory process, but K2 handles the osteophytes, or the calcium deposits in the knee joint, and also the calcification of the cartilage and the soft tissue.
That's a lot
Because
of
if you do an
data.
x-ray of the knee and you'll see all these little calcium deposits, K2 is good for that.
Okay, so knee pain, K2. So there's the D3 K2 product. Is that enough K2, or do you need to take more K2?
No, that's enough.
Oh.
Yeah, K2. But I will say, if you have a lot of calcium buildup, it doesn't happen in one day. It's a gradual process. But
Oh, Debbie said D3 and K. Good, Debbie.
yeah, K2.
You're the smartest person here.
K2 is, it's underrated. It's also good for the heart, because the K2 will help calcification in the arteries. And it's also good I notice when I have K2, I can go up a hill with my bike so much better. It just builds up the mitochondria. So there's a lot of other benefits to K2. The only time you wouldn't want to take it is if you're on warfarin, because your doctor might say, no, you can't take any of the K vitamins, but just check, because maybe you can take some of it. But I'm just making that disclaimer, Karen.
Okay.
I have some more quizzes, but I need to go to Zach from Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
You had a question, Zach. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, Dr. Berg?
Good.
So, I'm about 40 hours into a water fast right now, and I have a tattoo appointment scheduled in a few hours. So I'm wondering if there's any complications I should be worried about getting a tattoo this deep into a fast.
I don't think so. There's probably a little bit of discomfort there. I think that could be a minor issue. I do know this, though. There's I don't know exactly what types of dyes that they use. I don't know if there's like natural versus unnatural. I have no data, but if you could do something more natural, that would be good. I did have a guy who had a large tattoo right on his stomach, and ever since then, his digestion's been off. But if you're doing a smaller tattoo, I think it's going to be not an issue. But anyway, that's an area that I don't know a lot about, but I don't think it's going to be a problem, Zach. But thanks for your call. All right. Are we ready for another quiz? It's been a while. Or a question?
I have a question, because this question is also my question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What can you do for cracking or crunching knees?
Well, K2.
Amputate. Okay.
K2.
K2.
because the crunching is probably some excess calcium deposits. Now, I will say that if you're low in B1, sometimes you'll hear popping excessively in your joints, but that's a little different. People have this grinding stuff in their shoulder joints, and I'm not saying K2 will completely handle it, but it can definitely lift the intensity of it. Do you know where you get K2?
The cabinet. That's where I get my K2, in that bottle.
Okay,
Where
so
else can you get K2?
K2 is a fat-soluble vitamin. Egg yolks, especially if it's duck eggs. Cheese has it. It's in also, if you don't do animal products, it's in fermented soybeans. But don't try to, if you're from Japan, it's great, but it's an acquired taste. So it does come in fermented foods, like sauerkraut, but mainly it's going to be in the fatty foods, especially like goose liver has a good amount of K2. So, yeah. All right. Are we ready for the next question?
Yes. Boy,
All right.
you're loaded today.
I have a lot of questions for you guys. So
usually.
here's the question.
Okay.
What is the number one reason why your child is overweight?
Ooh.
Okay?
Okay.
The number one reason why your child's overweight. Now, if your child's not overweight, this doesn't pertain to you. It's only for parents that have kids that are overweight. And let's see if you can actually get this one, because I think if you hear my answer, it could actually solve some issues for you with your child.
Okay.
All right. I want to go to Elena from Washington, Tacoma, Washington. Are you there?
Hello?
Hello, hi.
Hi, I'm Elena. First of them, I want to tell you thank you very much for your work, especially for video on YouTube, translate in Russian. Very, very, very happy. I very clear everything. My question is, for keto, it's okay, quinoa and buckwheat?
Good question, and I appreciate the you saying that, since it took me a long time to learn Russian to do the translations, and I'm being very sarcastic. But yeah, we have a Russian channel. We also starting a Spanish channel. We have a French channel we're just starting, Chinese channel, also Hindi channel, and Arabic channel. So that's right on YouTube. If you go there and click under channels, and then we have a recipe channel. So
That's only in English.
Right, we're thinking about. Anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah. No, those grains are not on keto. I'm sorry. Nope, they're not on keto. You can't do grains on keto. I know it's tempting. I wouldn't do it because they're just too high in carb. I'm sorry. You'll have to find some things like, I would say the best grain alternative would be cauliflower, rice, or...
Why do you do that?
Because you make some good cauliflower. There's also, we had something recently. It was a cauliflower. What was it? It looked like some grain, or I don't know what it was, but it was like,
just cauliflower rice, and then
it wasn't.
The way
it was
prepared.
It was a different thing. I don't remember what it was.
It looked more like grits.
Amazing. Yeah, grits. I was like, is this really grits?
That's how you prepare.
But no, it's not grits. All right. Okay, Karen, what is the number one reason why these kids are overweight?
Interesting. A couple of people are saying sleep.
Okay.
But most people are saying carbs and sugar.
Okay. And the answer is snacking. Now, carbs are number 2, but number 1 is the snacking. There's been, from 1977 to 2014, there's this huge shift to get everyone to snack.
Yeah.
And
All
if you
day.
ever,
Carry
if you've ever
snacks
been,
with you.
I don't know if you've ever been to a grocery store. They actually have entire aisles on snack food.
And all the snack food is in the checkout lane.
We have that too. I mean, like what? You have chips, the cookies,
the bars,
and also the drinks, these fruit drinks in between meals are a snack as well. You have even you get all these different snacks, and people like
those are sugar and carbs.
Yes.
But I guess even if you were snacking just on, like, you used to snack on nuts.
Right. So here's my point. If you cut out the carbs and you still snack, what's going to happen? You're going to still spike insulin, even with so-called healthy snacks. But if you do fasting or with your kids, you just do 3 meals, no snacks, they're not going to starve to death. They're going to do much better. You just have to give them more fatty foods. So maybe you can make the transition from, of course, the carb snack to like celery with peanut butter or cucumbers with hummus or something like that to get them off the sweet stuff. But even a snack in general is not good. It's like this interesting thing. We have to constantly keep feeding our kids before they're hungry.
And in school,
or before they have to eat.
From the time they're little, there's snack time, and it's almost always cookies or crackers. And then you have the soccer thing, and then they're all given some kind of sugar and oranges and water. So hydrating is important. Electrolytes are important, but it's
the snacks. So this is
help.
what you do. First of all, you get all this, sweet snacks out of the house. Secondly, you just educate your child and like, listen, we're going to, actually increase the calories and have more fats at the meal, even a keto bomb, but try to go as long as possible. And if you cut down the carbs with your child's diet, it'll be easy for them to go longer. And I'm telling you, their ability to learn in school and remember things and their mood and their ability to be calm will be so much better. Give them the B vitamins and trace minerals. If you're pregnant or you have a small child, trace minerals are the most important thing. And also vitamin D and also like iodine would be good. That's in trace minerals. But with these kids, don't start them off snacking too frequently. I know as a baby you would need to do that, but try to do the 3 meals a day. That would be the best thing.
Mm-hmm. Omar here says, my kids just fasted Ramadan.
Wow.
And I can't believe they got by without any snacks.
You know what?
It's ripping the Band-Aid, but
I think there's some definitely benefits to that. All right. So I'm ready for some questions.
oh, well, take a call.
Okay, let's go to Maria from Switzerland. Are you there?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, Dr. Berg
Hi.
and Mrs. Berg.
Hello.
Hi. I have a question about, I found a lump on my clavicle, on my left clavicle, on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had pain on my left arm for about a year or more, and it comes and goes. I know it's lack of circulation in my lungs because I've been very sedentary.
Mm-hmm.
And I was considering the use of those vibrating plates to dislodge toxins from the lymph. But I'm not sure they are good. Are they bad for the kidneys? Will they dislodge the tissues? Will they damage the organs?
No, actually they're pretty safe. I don't think I would worry about that. Your organs are pretty tough. It's just another way of stimulating the body to actually get it to create some motion. What I would do if I were you though, I would add long walks because you need the oxygen in your lungs, and then work up to some type of cardio for the lungs, especially if you've been sedentary. That'll be the best thing for you. But yeah, the vibrating machines that they have are totally fine, and they have some benefits for the lymph, but mainly just to stimulate the overall body. The lymph does not have a pump, so it works through muscular contraction. So you want to walk and move your body more and exercise to pump that lymphatic fluid through the body. Thanks for your call. Okay, Karen.
You like this question. Is Gatorade okay? Crickets.
Gatorade.
Silence.
The answer is
Let's not judge Gatorade as a name brand.
let's do that. No. It just has way too much sugar. It's too much sugar,
Yeah,
and
read
you
the
want to stay
label.
away from that. It's not, from my viewpoint, it's not the absolute best electrolyte product out there because of the excess glucose. Some people disagree. I just tend to have my own opinion. But check with your doctor before drinking Gatorade. All right, Karen, I'm ready for another quiz.
Okay.
Okay. What is the number one symptom of a B12 deficiency? The number one most common symptom of a B12 deficiency.
Don't
Okay.
look it up.
That's the question.
Just your instincts here.
And I need to go to Janet from Hampshire. Are you there, Janet?
Yes, I am. Hi.
Hi.
I might have a really interesting question, I think. I just bought your program, so this is the first time doing keto for me.
Okay.
And I want to know if I'm going to be successful because I have some underlying issues. First, I have the IBS-C. I'm dealing with that.
Well, say that again?
And second,
Oh, IBS?
IBS-C.
Okay, got it.
So, so it comes along with constipation, so it's a little irregular. So, and the second part of this is that I have to live on a FODMAP. I'm sure you're familiar with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how am I going to be successful using this, using the program you've designed and incorporating all of those vegetables that I possibly can't eat?
Yes, good question. I have some videos, but they're hard to find on this topic. You're just going to have to modify it a little bit by changing all those vegetables that I talk about in the quantity to more of the FODMAP type vegetables that you can eat. And I would probably not go to 10 cups. I would find out what the amount that you can tolerate. So that way you won't irritate your colon. And some people, especially if they have constipation, I found that either if you increase or decrease, you'll actually improve the constipation. Sometimes you have to decrease it because there's damage in the gut. But I think by doing fasting and the program that you're about to start is it's going to actually improve your gut lining significantly, where you're going to feel so much better because you're going to get more absorption. But in the meantime, if you have like my trace minerals and electrolytes, you'll get the minerals that you wouldn't get from all those vegetables. So no, you can't do the same exact amount of vegetables, but I think everything else you can do, and I think you're going to be in for a treat because it's going to really work for you. Thanks for your call. Okay, Karen, what do we got for an answer for the number one symptom for a B12 deficiency?
The number one symptom is fatigue and weakness.
And the answer is fatigue.
Yay!
So you are correct. Well done on that.
Mm-hmm.
I have several other ones, so don't go away.
Oh, quizzes or answers?
Quizzes.
Okay.
And answers.
Okay. Okay, so we have a very... Avinash is repeatedly posting his question, saying, what is less expensive food for a vegetarian? Well, we're not vegetarians, so I'm not an expert in that. It also depends on where you live. So I would just say go to the store and compare the prices, and maybe use a farmer's market.
Well,
and
I think vegetables are pretty cheap. I mean, the other thing too is if you're doing fasting, it's going to be even cheaper. Like I always, you know, it's like, okay, so how can you have the cheapest food? Well, if you're, first of all, you're doing one meal a day, which a lot of you that are watching are doing one meal a day, we just cut down the bill by literally 3 times. Now, if you say that's too expensive, that's going to be an issue because you're going to have to figure that out, and I can't help you with that part.
That's right. And it depends on where you live, but also from talking to people, what I find is a lot of vegetarians aren't just eating vegetables. They're eating a lot of prepackaged foods,
grains,
a lot
bread,
of grains, and
pasta,
bread.
cereal, crackers, biscuits, waffles, pancakes, muffins. So you want
so these things are more expensive than vegetables and berries or whatever.
It can be. Unless you go
they can
to,
be. I mean, okay, a box of pasta.
Like in college.
May not be.
You know where I went in college, Karen? They had these discounted stores that have all these canned foods and pasta. I lived on so much pasta. And have you ever heard of romaine noodles?
I lived on romaine noodles.
Hey, what do you know?
My mom would send me a care package with ramen noodles, and with a little powder broth packet. I would eat it. And then I would have to lay down because my heart would pound and my arms would go completely numb.
Potassium deficiency. Well, I also had it was like a canned hormel chili that was really in back then.
Oh yeah, I never
But
got
I will
into
say that was, right after that I started developing the ulcer and the digestive issues and the gallbladder.
Wow.
So,
you don't recommend it?
You know what I would always do that? I would buy celery and vegetables with that, thinking that, but I would never eat it.
Well, I would buy Diet Coke.
Oh, wow.
with that. Because you had to balance out the calories with the Diet Coke.
I just
Diet
had,
soda.
I had such a low awareness on food. I didn't have a lot of problems at that point until a little bit later.
Right, and it's really, there are people on every different level of income that can eat healthy keto with intermittent fasting. It is not, I mean, we see these comments all the time, I can't afford keto.
You can.
Honestly, there's a couple of viewpoints. First of all, absolutely you can. Maybe you just need to understand more about it and the intermittent fasting. We can eat keto almost anywhere we go. Is it 100% organic?
Well,
yes, we can, but
that's the problem. Is like if you start doing grass-fed, grass-finished, it is expensive. So not everyone can do that.
It can definitely be more expensive.
It's more important to do keto than to try to have to go, ultra clean. If you can't afford the other stuff, just do what you can.
Do what you
it's
can
better
do.
than nothing.
Right. I was going to say something else, but
go ahead.
No, you jumped in and now. But when it bubbles up, I'm gonna just Tourette it out.
Okay. Here's the question, Karen.
Yeah.
This quiz. True or false? The number one cause of a vitamin B12 deficiency is because you're not consuming enough B12 in your diet. So it's diet. It's dietarily. It's a diet problem, diet deficiency of B12. True or false? Okay.
Well, that sounds like a trick question. It's so obvious.
You don't need to add to that.
I'm going to.
You don't need to add anything to that. Let's see them answer.
Let's discuss amongst ourselves.
Amanda, you're from Kentucky. You had a question. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I actually have like a two-part question. I did keto last year. It was very successful. My mother passed away in November, so I kind of took a break. I started back March the 16th, same exact way as before, and no weight loss at all.
Okay. Are you doing intermittent fasting with this or just keto?
Just keto. However, last year I did do some intermittent fasting.
Okay. This is a really good question. In fact, you know what you had just inspired me to do? I'm going to do a video on this one topic because when people start keto and then they stop it and they go back to it, many times all of a sudden it stopped working. So I think what I would do is I would implement exactly what's in the book here, both books, right here. Because I always talk about you want to do the healthy version of keto with intermittent fasting together as one. Because the intermittent fasting is really going to be vital for you if you have a slow metabolism or you are over the age of 40. So I would add them together and go longer with fasting. That's like the most important thing. From there, then you could actually maybe bring down the carbs a little bit more, add exercise, get more sleep, and then also you can cut down your fat just a little bit, but don't go past 75 grams. You need at least 75 grams of fat per day. Good question, Amanda. Thanks for your question. I noticed that you also said you're bruising easily right now. I think what I would do for that is I would start consuming more vegetables because that has vitamin K1 and think that's what you might need, and also has the vitamin C. So make sure your vegetables are at least 7 cups per day. All right, Karen.
This is really interesting.
Yeah?
It is almost 50-50.
Okay.
With lots and lots of reasons and a lot of thought going into the answers.
Okay, so the number one cause of a B12 deficiency is not a lack of B12 from your diet. It is a malabsorption.
So the answer was false.
The answer was false. So it's malabsorption, which is interesting because you would think everything would just be from the diet, but not according to a lot of the studies that are out there relating to B12. It's malabsorption. What does that mean? It means that you're eating it from your diet, but it's not being absorbed because you have some gut issue. Mm-hmm. There are so many people that have gut issues that don't even know it, like scar tissue in the gut from past junk foods or antibiotics, some infection you had. You have inflammatory issues. Maybe you drank a lot of alcohol and junk foods and sugar and stuff, and it just destroyed the gut. Or an over production of bacteria in your small gut. That's called SIBO, small intestinal overgrowth, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, where you have too much good bacteria in the wrong place, and that can starve your B12 too. So it's really malabsorption.
Now I have a question.
Yeah.
Because the gut is hugely important.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know. So they're watching videos and they're implementing changes in their life. And some people think a supplement doesn't work or changing their diet doesn't work, but it's really because they have this huge gut issue, right? So I guess the question is, A, how would they know they have a gut issue that they have to remedy? Or is making the diet change of keto and intermittent fasting enough to change that environment? Or do you have a video on really specific gut protocol that you would add to keto and intermittent fasting? There's a lot of questions.
You have a lot of questions, Karen.
I realize
You have like 4 questions?
But I think, a lot of people are like, oh, I need to do this one thing. And then they do that one thing.
The biggest way to know that if you have gut problems is bloating. Do you bloat with food? Do you get distended? So if you have that, then chances are there's a gut problem. One of the best remedies for the gut is fasting. But don't do fasting without keto. It works together. But let's say you're doing keto and you're doing fasting, you're still drinking alcohol every other day. That's going to keep things inflamed. You're having a cheat day every other day. It's going to keep it inflamed. There's a lot of remedies that you can do. One I like is the wheatgrass juice powder, because it's a good healer of the internal skin. I'm talking about the lining on the internal part of your body. That's really good for inflammatory things. But going back to the basics, healthy keto, intermittent fasting is probably the best thing you can do for the gut. But definitely fasting, because it gives a chance for your gut to heal. And then periodic prolonged fasting as well.
Fair enough.
Okay. Let's go to Edward from Illinois. He's been waiting patiently. Are you there, Edward?
Yes, Dr. Berg, I'm here.
Hi, what was your question?
Well, I wanted to know what could be causes of inflammation in the sternum or around your rib cage?
Good question. The number one reason is you have a vitamin D deficiency, because that causes bone pain. And one way to detect it is just press on your sternum, and if it's sore, then take some D3. Are you taking D3 right now?
Actually, yeah, I've been taking your product, the D3 K2 formula, for about a year now. But I kind of lowered down from 3 pills to 2 pills.
Then I don't think that's coming from that, unless you have a malabsorption issue. But okay, sternum. Is it part of the lower part of your ribs or the upper part?
Definitely lower part.
Okay. I would imagine it's related to more digestive organs, because you have the stomach right underneath the sternum. You have the gallbladder on the right side and the pancreas on the left. So I would suggest that you search out my video on gallbladder flushing. It's a manual technique that kind of works to those organs, and it will reduce a lot of the congestion, even if you have a hiatal hernia type thing underneath your rib cage. Have you ever seen that video?
I don't believe so, but I will search for it.
Search for it, find it, and apply that. I think that's what you're missing. This is more of a digestive thing than more of a bone pain. Try it out. Let us know if it worked. Okay, great. Okay.
More quizzes?
Yes, I have another quiz
here.
Wow,
this is like quiz mania today.
Okay, so let's say, for example, you get a stuffy nose after you drink some wine. Not that wine's on the program, not that you would do that, but let's hypothetically say that a friend of yours was drinking wine and they got a stuffy nose. What does that indicate? What would that mean? What would be that a symptom of? Let's see if you guys can give me your answer on that one. And while you're giving me the answer, I need to go to Mohammed. Are you there?
Yes, doctor.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
Thank you very much, doctor, for everything you're doing for all of us.
Sure.
It's really inspiring us. and I lost almost 24 kilograms
Wow.
in 5 months.
Wow.
And
That's awesome.
yeah, and this is because of the keto and the intermittent fasting, and also my wife's following keto. 3 of our family friends are following keto. We're having WhatsApp group, sharing recipes.
Awesome.
We live in this mood since 5 months, and we love it.
Great.
I have hundreds of questions, but I selected 3 only today. So
Okay.
Pick your favorite one.
The first one is related to the kids, because we as a family, me and my wife, following keto. We have 2, 3 years and 4 years old kids, and I'm afraid to give them what we are eating because of the erythritol, xylitol, and all the desserts and sweets which made from sugar alcohols.
Yeah.
And I need your advice on this. So
Okay.
what should we do for the kids? And the second question is related to the sexual libido. We found that 2 or 3 of our friends are, including myself, of course, we started to feel that we have decreased the eagerness of, I mean, we less need for sex, and this is this related to keto? No. Number 3, the last question is related to the gluten. We are following a recipe for a keto-friendly bread made from pure gluten, oat fiber, and flaxseed meal, and it's delicious, to be honest. And I'm afraid of the gluten because a lot of people talking about the gluten is bad for you and stuff like this. So
Okay.
those are my 3 questions, and thank you in advance.
Thank you for being very succinct and to the point.
Right.
I just clicked him off. So, whoops,
hopefully
but hopefully you can
us.
hear me right now. But let me just answer the first.
You got a $1,000 bonus
If
prize
your
for that
if your
caller.
child as 3 years old, yeah, be careful of the sugar alcohols simply because those will create a lot of bloating. They're not really good for small children. So I would do the keto, but without the treats and the xylitol and that type of stuff. You can use stevia, monk fruit. That's totally fine. Libido, I would take zinc. That's the best product for libido. And then some people they go with whatever whatever their normal is. They'll go into that mode. So it might not even be a problem if you just take enough zinc. Now, as far as gluten goes, you want to avoid that because, boy, that will tear up the gut. And even though it's a protein, it's keto friendly, it's not a good one because your body actually can create antibodies to gluten. It has a very similar genetic code to certain pathogens, believe it or not. And so as your body attacks this pathogen over here, it also can attack gluten and assign an antibody to kill both because it considers it a poison. So now you got antibodies to gluten. So as soon as you take it, it's going to tear up your colon. And it's just part of your immune system trying to protect you.
So I think he said that it was a recipe that we had that was heavy gluten. I don't remember
No,
that.
we never ever recommended gluten in any of the recipes.
No, I don't recall. I mean, I know the one bread recipe, and I'm trying to think. I don't recall having any gluten in that because it was the chia and other things that created the chewiness of that sort of sourdough boule. The other thing also to keep in mind, even for adults, is the desserts and these things. These are awesome, and it's great so that you don't have any strange feeling of deprivation, like, gee, I can't have something lovely and as a dessert while I'm on keto, but it isn't something that you should be eating tons and tons of no matter what.
That's a correct statement, Karen.
So there you go.
What do we got for the answer?
What was the question?
Why do people get a stuffy nose on
Right.
keto?
I knew
I'm
that.
not keto, I'm drinking wine.
Drinking wine. And I would say that the number one answer is allergy, sulfites, liver,
Okay.
histamine.
Okay, so the most appropriate answer would be the histamine intolerance, which I will do a video, you can learn about that, because there's certain foods, especially fermented foods like in wine, that your body it doesn't seem to have the enzyme to break down histamines, and histamines are in certain foods too. So that's
What other foods are they in?
they're in the hard cheeses or aged cheeses. It's in like sauerkraut.
Oh, wow.
It's in a lot of fermented foods.
Kimchi,
Yes, kombucha.
kombucha.
But I will say sulfites mainly will cause more of a problem with headaches, but they can also create an allergy and potentially a sinus thing, but it's more of the histamine intolerance. So I will do a video on to sort all this out, but it's not an allergy to the wine. It's usually the histamine intolerance, which stay tuned for more information on that. But I need to go to Amber as our last call.
Yes.
You're from Leesburg, Virginia. Are you there?
Yes, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I had a question about, I know you've said before that consuming lean proteins like turkey and skinless chicken can spike insulin. And I was wondering, if you eat that with a healthy fat, does it mitigate the insulin spike? Like if you have a baked chicken topped with olive oil, if you avoid the insulin that way?
Good question. Yes, if you add oil to it or any type of fat, it totally mitigates it. It'll slow down the insulin response. So you don't have to worry about it at all. So yeah, that's a good idea. And yep, that's correct.
Great.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Just right down the road from us.
Listen, guys, it's been a great time talking to you. You had some really good questions.
And you had some really good questions.
I had some good questions. Until next time, have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next Friday morning at 11 o'clock.
Good week.